Hello, boys and girls, and welcome to the concession stand here on the KB Radio Network. I am your host, Kevin Reed, and I'm bringing back not an oldie, because it's not that old, but a goodie nonetheless. We're doing our double feature review of two films that came out this past weekend on streaming services. One was on Netflix, one was on Prime Video, and got a chance to check them out this weekend. That is The Union, which is on Netflix, starring Mark Wahlberg and Halle Berry, and the Prime Video film Jackpot, which stars Awkwafina and John Cena. Both are similar in the sense you have a male and female lead, both on the run, kind of. Both are in this, I don't know, action comedy film, but they are what they are, and neither one of them are worthy of a separate standalone episode for their review. But I said, hey, they still are worthy of reviews, so we're going to review them in a double feature format. This is a weekend that is dominated by Alien Romulus, just doing great at the box office, and worthy so. It is an excellent film. And to think that film was going to be released on Hulu, straight to Hulu, but cooler minds prevailed, smarter minds intervened and said, you know what, let's put it in the theater. So it would have been 3 films on streaming this weekend, but Alien Romulus was released in theaters, rightfully so, because you needed to see that on the big screen. But these two films, and we're going to start off with The Union, which stars Mark Wahlberg and Halle Berry. This is a film that was released on Netflix, and I knew absolutely nothing about this movie. I mean, nothing. I didn't know they were making it, didn't know it was coming out. I just so happened to be surfing on Netflix and saw that this had came out this weekend. I'm like, oh, okay. It's color me intrigued, because I like Halle Berry. I like Mark Wahlberg. I think this is the first time they appeared on screen together. So color me intrigued. A spy action comedy, right up my alley. Let's dive right in. So I went ahead, clicked on it, and watched. This film is directed by Julian Farino, and he hasn't really directed any films per se. I think he has, but nothing I've seen. He's more of a television director. He's famously known for directing multiple seasons of Entourage, which is a show produced by Mark Wahlberg. So they got a relationship. And this action comedy spy thriller type film is basically about a down-to-earth construction worker from New Jersey. He is approached by his high school sweetheart to join this special spy organization on a mission, and this organization is known as the Union. So there's that. Also joining this cast, along with Mark Wahlberg and Halle Berry, you have J.K. Simmons, Jackie Earl Hurley, Mike Coulter, and many more. This was an interesting cast, a real good cast, a stacked cast, if you will, which brings me to the question, what happened here? This was not a good movie. I'll say it like this. I'm not going to say it wasn't good. I was entertained throughout this film. I wasn't bored, but I really wasn't expecting nothing, because, like I said, I didn't know anything about it. I didn't know what to expect, to be honest with you. And so I went into it blind, but it's just something about it that just screamed straight to digital type movie. This is not your Netflix trying to make a theatrical film for your television. You know, this was truly a streaming movie, and that's what we got here. let's start off with what I did like about the Union. I like Mark Wahlberg. I liked him in this role. This was he really carried this film. And normally Mark Wahlberg can be kind of annoying when he's in comedies. And I'm talking about the comedies where he's trying to be funny. You know, when he's trying to be funny, that's not his strong suit. When he just plays the straight man, the average Joe, if you will, he's funny. Like when he teams up with Will Ferrell and the other guys, or Daddy's Home and stuff like that. Love him in those movies because he fits the characters, and he fits the character here. I like him as this down on his luck, just normal average guy, and he plays that well. And Holly Berry, I liked in this film. I liked. There's a lot not to like about her performance here, but the majority, I would say 60-40, maybe 65-35. I'll give a little there. And for reasons I don't think it's her fault. I'll get into the reasons when I get to my negatives, but for the most part, she was entertaining as well. I liked her here in this role. The rest of the supporting cast was fine. Nobody gave a bad performance. I think, if anything, there were some underdeveloped characters, aside from Mark Wahlberg and Halle Berry's character. The rest of the cast were very underdeveloped and really couldn't get behind, really couldn't cheer for throughout this film, or cheer against even when it comes to the villains. It was just like, here they are, It was just props in the film. But they did their job. They did a decent job for what they were given. And that's pretty much it for the positives. Let's go into the negatives because I have a lot. Starting with the screenplay here. And if you notice, me saying that from what these actors were given, they weren't given much in this screenplay. It was really nothing to work with. They were so one note. It was so many one-liners, and no real expedition in this film. It was just like, I don't know. We're gonna put some lines of dialogue here, maybe have an action set piece here, then some more lines of dialogue. We're gonna do this training montage for about 5 minutes, then we're gonna go into some. It was just ridiculous. Now, the funny part about it, it started off strong. This film starts off strong. I liked everything in New Jersey before he gets recruited. All that was good. And then once we get to the recruiting part and him joining the Union, that's when it really starts to peter out. But yeah, the screenplay was kind of messy and it drug. This movie didn't know when to stop. It was like one of those movies where they didn't know how to end the movie. It felt like they were writing this movie as they were shooting. That's the way it felt. Now, if it comes out later on, that's what it is, I would be like, okay, I get it. It wouldn't shock me in the least bit. It just felt like they were writing it as they went. And when it got to the end, like, man, we got to end it. Well, let's do this. Okay. That's what they did. Let's go shoot it. The villain was so telegraphed and so unclimactic. It was no motivation for the villain. None. Like I said, these characters were underdeveloped. You still don't know why the villain was the villain. You have no clue. It was silly. It was complete silliness with that. The action in this film was, they had one good action set piece towards the end when they were hopping building to building trying to recover this briefcase. That was fun. That was exciting. And that was it. Everything else was pretty boring. And when you have boring action in an action film, it's a problem. It's a serious problem. And going back to the actors and actresses in this film, do you realize, and while I was sitting here watching it, I'm like, man, they have 2 Academy Award winners. They have a couple of Emmy nominated actors, even some Mark Wahlberg, he was nominated for an Academy Award for The Departed, so that they have some awards worthy actors here, and they squandered it. I mean, a whole bunch. It was like, what is going on? J.K. Simmons wore a hat, a ball cap for the entire film. I'm like, why is he in a hat? You can't take him seriously in that hat. So it was just some bad decision making throughout this film that ultimately hurt it. It could have been better. I still don't think that this film is, you know, uh, ever had a shot of being one of the top films of the summer per se, but it could have been better. But at the same time, it's a film that you can pop on Netflix and watch. It's a Netflix film by design, and that's what it is. I mean, if it's something you want to put on in the background while you mopping the floors or washing the dishes or whatever you do, this is the perfect film for that. Overall, it was decent, it's watchable, not the greatest of films, but I've seen worse as well. The Union, which is currently on Netflix, that stars Mark Wahlberg and Halle Berry, gets a letter grade of a C minus. Yeah, it's a true blue Netflix film. So let's move over to our second and final review in this double feature episode of the concession stand, and it is none other than Jackpot, which is currently on Prime Video. This film is directed by Paul Feig. If you don't know who Paul Feig is, he has directed some of the best comedies in the past 20 years, I would say. Bridesmaids, A Simple Favor, the Ghostbusters film, the female-led Ghostbusters film, which it was what it was. But he has made some very good films. Starring in this film is Aquafina and John Cena, and this is an action comedy. And the premise of this film, Katie, a former child actor who wins a $3.6 billion lottery and must fend off people trying to kill her in the future version of California. This had a interesting premise, and I was, unlike The Union, I was excited for this. They did a lot of promotion for this film. Kind of got me hyped for it, I must say. Once again, I wasn't looking for the next great Paul Feig film, but I was looking for something pretty good. John Cena has been knocking it out the park. I'm a huge fan of John Cena in front of the camera. I make it no secret, I'm a huge WWE fan, so I've been following John Cena his entire career as a wrestler and as an actor. So when he made the transition to acting, my eyes were solely set on him, and he has been doing a really good job. Some surprisingly good performances has come out of John Cena. Aquafina is hot and cold with me. She's hit or miss with me. Some movies I think she's perfect in, and then there's those other movies that that she just doesn't quite do it for me. And I wanted to see her in this role. She's the lead here, and like I said, the premise of this film was very, very interesting. And you have Sumo Lau, in this film, and him and Aquafina are reteaming in this movie. They were in Shang-Chi, The Legend of the Ten Rings together, so you got that going for. And so, what did I think? Well, I was disappointed overall. This movie, it wasn't funny. It just wasn't funny. I was expecting some real good laughs out of this movie, if anything. As far as the action aspect of it, I wasn't expecting any good, jaw-dropping white knuckle action, but I was expecting some comedy. This movie didn't deliver on the comedy, except for one character that I didn't expect, and that was Machine Gun Kelly. When Machine Gun Kelly is the funniest part of the movie, once again, you have a problem. His scenes, I think he was in 2 scenes, were the funniest parts of this movie. At least his comedy were. The scenes themselves were kind of whatever, but the movie did not deliver on the, you know, overall scope of the situation. When we're supposed to be in this future version of California, where it was like the purge, how they treat this lottery situation. So it just didn't have that. You had the same group of people after Aquafina throughout this film, whereas the whole state of California should have been emerging on her. This is $3.6 billion with a B. I don't understand why 10 people are, you know what I'm saying? It wasn't like a mass hysteria, this riot of people. And I understand the budget and all this other stuff. Maybe that hindered the production. It's a possibility, but they could have did it a better way to kind of mask that. Aquafina in this film, this ain't one of the films that she annoyed me in. I actually liked her in this movie. She did a good job. She wasn't the problem. John Cena, he wasn't the problem. I think he did a decent job in this film. I didn't like Sumu Lau. I didn't like him in this film. He was it wasn't him. It was his character, because the way his character was structured is so telegraphed, man. And I'm once again like the Union, and that's why when I started off this episode, I was like, man, these movies are so similar. I'm telling you, the Union and Jackpot are so similar. It's crazy. One has a more serious tone, the Union, but overall, at the meat of the matter, into the bone of it all, they are the exact same movie. The exact same movie. This one here, I think I would grade a little more harshly, because it really does try to be a comedy, but it's not funny. And I found that very offensive. I mean, I wanted to at least laugh in this movie, and nothing made me laugh. Nothing made me laugh. It just felt, it fell flat, and it just hurt my feelings. It hurt my feelings at the end of the day, but it is what it is. Unlike the Union, where I could say, okay, you can watch that in the background, you can pop it on and watch it. It won't hurt you. It won't offend you in any way. It just, after you finish watching it, you'll probably forget 80% of it as soon as the credits start rolling. This film, it has nothing. There's no element of this movie where I would say, yeah, check it out. There's nothing about it that's appealing. Nothing. And it's a shame, because you have some good talent in front of and behind the camera. And so it's real confusing, but it is what it is. Jackpot, which is currently on Prime Video, starring Aquafina and John Cena, gets a letter grade of a D+. Yeah, 2 disappointing films, man. 2 very disappointing films. The Union on Netflix gets a C-. Jackpot on Prime Video gets a D+. On a lighter note, go to the movies and watch Alien Romulus. That is cinema, people. Go see that. Go watch that. Oh man, because I'm going to see it again. I kid you not. I can't wait to go check that out again. Love that movie. These 2 movies, probably will never see them again in life, but it is what it is. But I would like to know, maybe I'm tripping. Did you watch the Union and Jackpot, or either or, and thought they both were good, or one of them was better than what I'm saying it is? I would love to know your opinion. Don't forget, film is subjective. Art is subjective. Just because I feel one way about it, you may feel completely different, and that's okay. I would love to know your opinion. email the show, kbradiopodcast@gmail.com. You can also search for the show on all social media platforms. Just search for the KB Radio Network. Don't forget about YouTube, everybody. Subscribe to the KB Radio Network channel and like this video if you don't mind. Don't forget about the 5 stars, the reviews, and sharing this show. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, wherever you are currently listening to the concession stand here on the KB Radio Network. Everybody, thank you for joining me for this double feature review of the Union and Jackpot. Want you all to know that I love you, continue to love everyone, and until we speak again, you all be blessed.